Hello, thanks for joining us. I'm honoured today to speak to the Reverend Munther Isaac. He's senior pastor at the Evangelical Lutheran Christmas Church of Bethlehem. Now, he delivered an incredibly powerful Christmas sermon in which he damned Western complicity in Israel's ongoing mass slaughter in Gaza. Before we speak to him, let's hear an excerpt from that sermon.
If you are not appalled by what is happening in Gaza, if you are not shaken to your core, there is something wrong with your humanity. And if we as Christians are not outraged by the genocide, by the weaponization of the Bible to justify it, there is something wrong with our Christian witness, and we are compromising the credibility of our gospel message. If you fail to call this a genocide, it is on you. It is a sin and a darkness you willingly embrace. Some have not even called for a ceasefire. I'm talking about churches. I feel sorry for you. We will be okay. Despite the immense blow we have endured, we, the Palestinians, will recover. We will rise. We will stand up again from the midst of destruction, as we have always done as Palestinians. Although this is by far maybe the biggest blow we have received in a long time. But we will be okay. But for those who are complicit, I feel sorry for you. Will you ever recover from this? Your charity and your words of shock after the genocide won't make a difference.
Very powerful stuff. Now, I began by asking him about that theme of Western complicity, not just those who actively support Israel's onslaught, but those who refuse to speak out.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is something we've been talking about as Palestinians, but certainly as Palestinian Christians for a while now. But I think the war on Gaza brought everything in an intensive way together. We engage a lot with not just church leaders, but diplomats and politicians, and we hear the rhetoric from Western leaders who, have been for years not just supporting Israel, but supporting the Zionist narrative. We see how in this war, everyone frames this conflict as if it started in October 7th, ignoring the context, and then continuing to not just be silent about what's happening in Gaza, but silent about the constant dehumanization of the Palestinians. The way we were described by Israeli politicians and military leaders, and the way they continue to use phrases like human shields, So if it takes, as I said, destroying a school and killing everyone in it just to get one Hamas militant, it's okay, because they don't see us as equal humans. So this language.
Okay. I didn't intend, and I'm not sure I do intend to go live at all yet, except for when Ham comes on. But there's a problem with that, is it's unpredictable when Ham comes on. So maybe I can't honor that edict I made last Friday. I've done this for about, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years, if you count my other videos. And I just do not enjoy the attacks. And I can't tell if they're shills or if they're real. I do not appreciate small-mindedness. I don't mind opposing point of views. I don't mind being told I'm wrong. I just hate meanness, bullying, and statements that they don't have any intellectual value at all, other than to try to hurt someone, me. So I guess what I'll do is I'll just reserve the right to block anybody, and I'll try to do it as temporary first. This is meant, in my opinion, to be an open area where everyone can talk, anyone can share their point of view. I don't require membership. I don't require super chat. I never ask for hitting the button or subscribing. I don't do any of that. But yet, frankly, jerks come on, or people come on and act like jerks, and it leaves me upset all day and all night. I just can't do that in 2024. So I will withdraw my statement that I'm not going to do lives anymore because I don't know how to make it work. I was serious about it. It wasn't an idle statement, but I said that I would come on when Ham came on. I don't know how to make that work. Ham's going to come on. He's driving down I-95 somewhere, but what do I do until he comes on other than be live? But I'm going to be clear. I will reserve the right to block anyone, anytime. It'll be arbitrary. It'll be in my own judgment, and it'll seem unfair. But for me, I can't deal with it anymore. And it's a waste of time. If people here want to support the criminals, just go start your own short selling fund. Just go work for Kurt Kramer. Go work for Jeff Easton. Go work for that Rob guy at Yorkville. I forget his name. Just go do it. Don't come here. I'm not here to debate. I know what goes on. Most people here know what goes on. Just go do it. Go have fun. As Ham would say, knock yourself out. But I'm not gonna tolerate it anymore here. And someday I'm gonna have a better system. Not yet. And then I'll have moderators and all that. But I'm not gonna have any tolerance for bullying, statements that belong on a bumper sticker. And you can take an opposing view to mine. I am often wrong, but I want to hear why. Just give me some why. But I support each and every one of you. I appreciate that you're here. I want to help, but I don't want to sign off. I've had my own difficulties through this. I have my own things to deal with. I don't need the animus and the vitriol and the attacks. All right. So with that, let's go on. Happy New Year to everyone. Let's go over while we wait for Ham to come on, let's go over some of the scores, so to speak. HNRC is up 0.0002. Wow. Thank God. Whoever that seller is for 30,365. Can you imagine selling 30,365? That's just communication. That's just communication. It's illegal. I'll try not to rant, but if you don't want to hear what's going wrong, you got to turn into Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. Okay, kids, look how nice Mr. Sun is today. 281 to 282. All right, let's see. LGIQ, that's the one I have the most hope for. But I have some charts here somewhere we can go over. Let's just go through the prices. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. 0.065 to 0.0699, 10 by 10. GTII 0.3755 to 0.38, down 0.0222. There's I need to get a chartist. Maybe ARCA can help out. But at some point, diamond hands isn't always the right move. I believe GTII has two positives. One is this whole Alpine situ, and two is Trento mines. But clearly, the criminals are at work, and at some point, you either, I mean, it's each of our choice, right? We hold, we buy more, or we sell. So I'm just personally, I wonder if 40 cents means anything. It might not. I'll see if I can get ARCA to comment. GDC, this is one which I think I'm sorry. GDC, I think, is worth a punt right now. I think you can buy it for $2.66. I don't know anything about it, but I know whales are buying it. I know it has the potential to go to $20, $30, $40, maybe higher. But anyway, I don't know anything about it, but that's if you feel like a lottery ticket, I think that's one. It's going to trade, I think, after Jin Medical International Limited ordinary shares, ZJYL, which is up $1.95. That's at $250 a share still. I heard that could go to thousands of dollars a share. I'm not recommending playing that, but I'm just saying that people are making a ton of money in this. I think they're going to go into GDC. But that's pure speculation, as all of these shares are. Vocal is another stock. It's up green today, 0.0075, 0.0062 to 0.0075. Somebody is selling 319,000 shares, 134. If you had 319,000 shares, you got to get that last 134 in there. That's all communication. It's all criminal. And someone is buying 152,445. Criminal. So I'd be very cautious with Vocal. I like the CEO. I like the story, but I think the criminals are in charge, and it's 1 decimal point away from being seller boxed. But let's see. I'm not going to give up on it. CAUD up 15 cents, $1.50, 146 to 152, 111,000 shares. I think we have to give Peter Boards a mulligan. He had nothing to do with that criminal financing. Everything I say is my own opinion and my own judgment, but I think there was racketeering and collusion before, during, and after that financing. But that's over with now. Well, it's not. It's like the aftershocks will be felt. The criminals will be emboldened. And unless the board recognizes that the quislings across the conference table from them are the criminals, it'll be a long walk back up. However, I think Peter Boards is making enormous strides in visibility, telling the story. I think he has an action plan. The board is impressive as hell. And Data Logic all by itself has the ability to pull this train back to 70 to 100 million in revenues on an annualized basis, which was the third-party valuation by Mentor Group, which was at the low end of their outcomes for over 100 million. The market cap right now is 18 million according to E-Trade. So I like CAUD for a trade. Obviously, it has the risks of corporate blindness to criminals on the other side of the desk. But hey, who hasn't been charmed by a con man before? I did GTII, I did Logic. Oh, Finger, did I do? Finger is 402, 398 to 402. It says red, but I think that's up. I don't know what Centage Holdings is, so I'm going to skip it. And then just because it's going to be my theme all year, I think each of us has to, if we have profits, start to slowly put those profits into gold, silver, and oil, and other real copper, natural gas, paying down debt. That's at 8095. All right. So it's 1124. You know where your children are. Let's go from the bottom. Okay, Girth Mike. I'm not going to do it now because I don't know how to do it, but I'll try to get advice. I'm going to try to get a different I don't know what to call it, platform. I don't know how to Google and find out, but there's a couple of other services out there that I might try to get one. What I'm looking for is if I could get one of these that has some of the same optionality, but I could also edit. So I could come on and I could riff for 20 minutes on you know, on golden retrievers versus American Staffordshire Terriers. And then when I'm done, I could edit that out and repost it. I can't, well, I haven't figured out how to do it with this service. That's one thing. But the other thing is I want to be better at having moderators. So I appreciate it. For the Republic, hey, Skinny Whale, Happy New Year. Hey, Ron, happy. I started this. I made a statement at the end of the year that I was serious about, which was I wasn't going to do lives again for a while, other than wrapped around him coming on. But I quickly realized that's an impossible situation. Either I don't have Ham on or I have to do lives. Because today I spoke with Ham earlier and he was meant to call me by now and come on. So there's just no way to fulfill that ultimatum, I guess, that I said. But I want to be clear. I'm going to be somewhat arbitrary, quite arbitrary, in trying to protect my own peace of mind. I don't want to be bullied or harangued or accused of being things I'm not. I'm not perfect, but I also just, I want to be able to sleep at night and not come off these calls unable to do work or do anything else. It's just not worth it to me. I'm actually trying to it hangs on my refrigerator. It's some psalm. Ace could probably quote it, but it says something like, commit your works to the Lord and your thoughts will be established. I really sincerely, in my poor human way, I'm trying to do this for others, for you. But that doesn't mean I have to absorb what my mother would call negative energy. Honey, that's just negative energy. Yeah, I will. I just don't always, Skinny, I just don't always know who I react to someone because frankly, these little blurbs, there's some of these programs where people can come on and talk with a comment. Anyway, I'll just do better. Just see that, look at that, Aaron, right off his head. I don't know how you guys do it. You're like geniuses. Proverbs 16:3. I don't know. I don't want to say I'm a lapsed Catholic, but I was never a completely well-trained Catholic, but I've never given up on the church and I've always, anyway, but what I've noticed about Catholics, other than my father, my sister, and one of my college roommates, we don't read the Bible. And I'm laughing because that's self-knowledge that I'm not particularly proud of. Thank you, Casey. Hidden agenda. Let's look at GDC. You know what I heard that stock could do? I heard it could go to 45 smackers. It's only up 10 cents. And it's only 55,000 shares. But I think whoever they are, can turn on the buy computers just as quickly as the sells. My understanding with GDC, I have no idea what it does. It's called GD Culture Group Limited. But my understanding is one or two whales, maybe a handful of whales, own more than the entire float. So if there's demand for GDC, where are they going to find the shares? And if the criminals have to cover, where are they going to find the shares? So I just think that might be a nice first trade of 2024. I'm not saying sell anything. Even if you just bought 100 shares for 200, $300, or 1,000 shares for $3,000. Imagine if it were to run. I do have a small position. I'm not going to tell you every position I have, but I bought this after Ham bought it, after one of his biggest sources bought a ton of it. But I figure if Ham sees something to buy some, I'm going to buy some. Not very logical, but hey, I'll go with Ham. We're 267 to 280. I don't own a lot, but if it were to go to 45, I tell you three things I would do. I'd get my eyes fixed. I'd buy a new computer. And the third thing's a surprise. I'll tell you about it when I can do it. 270 to 280, 270 to 280, 270 to 280, 100 by 1200. It was up 23. Wow. What's the high? Oh, it was 280. Well, let me see. Yeah, you're right. It's 267 last trade, hidden agenda. Yeah, I'll feel better, Linda. There's so much to be grateful for in this world, but there's a lot to be afeared of too. And I don't know. It's a hard dance to be always happy or to be always sad or worried. It takes a worried man. to sing a worried song. Who's worried now? No, I'm worried now, but I won't be worried long. Yeah, Jeff, I think Finger's going to go first. GTII to me is telling me something's going on that's not cool. But any of these can change on a dime. I have a theory about what's going on in GTII, but I don't want to just blurt it out because I've just got to be careful what I say and imply. But it's not necessarily bad. But when Ham comes on, we'll ask him, and then once he says things, I can say things. But I do emphasize that the Trento mine deal has not been canceled. That potential is still there. Somebody's calling me from 603. That's not Ham. I don't know what 603 is. Well, we'll leave it alone. Last dip before the squeeze. MKC, I think balance is the key, but I also noticed in life that momentum builds on momentum, positivity builds on positivity. When you're winning, you win more. And I'm not talking about the Trumpster, I'm talking about in sales or in athletics or in, picking up chicks. I'm just kidding. That's a bad sexist way to put it. But when you're dating a girl, all of a sudden every girl wants to go out with you. It's just life. When you win, you win. And I feel like I win when I lose. 603 is New Hampshire. I wonder who's calling me from. Oh, I know maybe who it is. It might be somebody my brother had me call. Well, I can't pick it up. I will punish those who do wrong. I will repay them. Well, that may be what the Lord does, but I don't want to punish anybody. But I do want to set things right. I mean, I don't. That's so complicated. I'm not sure as humans that we could mete out punishment in the way of vengeance. Obviously, if we punish to train, we do something to train, maybe that's different. I don't know, but that's another topic. Balance is the key. For me, I think I need to be. Even though I'm, believe it or not, I'm shy and insecure and all that. I am an extrovert, and I need to be around people. And I miss the boardrooms I used to work in, and I miss all the human interaction. I got to get that going again this year. Everyone should refrain from buying options. Well, that's true, except I would argue, and I'm going to try to track it in Finger. I don't think it's there yet, but options can be a really inexpensive way of, you can take 52-cent risk instead of $5 risk. But when everyone's buying and the premiums, I agree with you. And in the case of Finger Motion, the stock price is so cheap now. Might as well buy the stock. All right, let's get some more. There are people who call you a pumper. Well, that's true, but I don't like that people are losing money. I don't like it at all. It's possible that the criminals watch what we do. They don't want us to have a win. Maybe. It's also possible that this, everything's stacked against us, and maybe we just throw it all in and go buy the BlackRock Plus Trust Bust Fund and make 6% a year and sing hosannas to Larry Fink or whoever runs it. But on the other hand, I think we're all we need is purchase in one of these, maybe some timing or good luck, and we can start knocking these down like duck pin bowling. Hey, Zachariah. Oh, CB. Let me look what that channel was. Here's what I was listening to. I try to listen to different things. Palestinian Christian leader. History will hold you accountable over Gaza genocide. And it's Owen Jones. Owen Jones. And it's a pretty tough message. There was, I think John Kennedy quoted it, but I think it was some other philosopher that said it. I can't remember who. One of the ones you guys could quote, but said the hottest place in hell is reserved for he who in times of moral crisis holds his peace. Something like that. And I think this is one of those moral crises. It is horrible beyond the word horrible, beyond the word evil, beyond any comprehension of cruelty, beyond human understanding. What happened to the Jews during World War II? Absolutely horrible. And that word doesn't even begin to describe it. I mean, I always, not always, but I sometimes add that it's my understanding Hitler also killed 2 million Catholics, gypsies, gays, atheists. But over 6 million Jews being killed like that is beyond human comprehension. But I was thinking about it in terms of human life, human existence. Unfortunately, it's not all that unique. I mean, Stalin killed 20 million, and some estimates are as high as 60 million people, both because of the war, but also because of he just nationalized all the farmland and kicked the peasants off of it, moved people. Anyway, you know the story. Mao apparently killed 20 million or more. In the 60s, he just got rid of all the intellectuals. Pol Pot killed at least 2 million people without trial, and there were killing fields, stacks of skulls. The Hitsus and the Tutsus in Rwanda, chopping hands off, killing millions. What the Chinese did to the Japanese, the other way around, what the Japanese did to the Chinese I forget what it was called. I mean, the level of evil that human beings do to others, it makes you almost want to believe what Christopher Hitchens talks about, that that we'd be better off without God or without religion. I don't go as far as he does, but I think when each of us believes our religion is best, and we don't have an opening for another's belief, it's my opinion God comes to me in his way, and he comes to Muslims in another way. But it's not that different, by the way. It's not that different. And he comes to atheists in a different way. It's not my job to be goody good two shoes and slaughter everyone that doesn't believe my way. So anyway, I don't think, unfortunately, that it was all that exceptional in human history. And the things I just quoted are in our living memory. Imagine if you go back in history, Rome wiped out all the Carthage, all the Carthaginians, wiped them all out, slaughtered them all. I'm not distracting from how bad it is, but when it blinds us to, when we give a hall pass for any behavior to assuage our own guilt, then other preposterous evil happens. And make no mistake about it, what's happening in Gaza Strip right now is genocide. And the open air concentration camp could be ripped out of history books. So anyway, that's what this guy, Owen Jones, he's a young man.
Language that Israel is doing self-defense. It's war.
He's a young man.
And especially when you compare it with the reaction when, for example, Russia bombs Ukraine and the revolt. I mean,
so anyway, I listened to it. I don't know what I can do to change it. I'm not anti-Jew or anti-Semitic. I just am. Maybe the best way to say it is maybe Zionism has gone too far. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I'm educating myself. But anyway, that's the channel, CB. Where it has an impact on our lives in terms of my channel is, I think, 1% of the world, other than the United States, 1% of the world supports what the right wing, certain right wingers, Netanyahu, are doing right now in Gaza Strip. They had a vote in the UN Assembly. 5% of the world backed Israel. 4% of that vote was the United States of America. So we're isolating ourselves, whether it's right or wrong. And my views could be wrong, but we're isolating ourselves vis-a-vis the rest of the world. And I think that's going to accelerate financial changes in the world, unfortunately. Unfortunately. Mexican. I had nothing to do with Wall Street. The greedy Wall Street rats made me lose money, clients, and equipment. Wow. We should have you come on, Mexican. That's the kind of story I think people would love to hear. As I look back on my career, I recognize now, based on what Ham has really focused on it. And it's, you got to decide, do I see that or I don't see it? And a lot of people aren't willing to recognize that the United States security system is bought and paid for. So I've been hurt by Wall Street too, and a lot of my investors and a lot of the companies I raised money for. So it's a little bit of a mission. I don't know how to change it overnight, but we'll do our best. I have revenge in my heart and anger in my soul for those who caused me pain. Gaza could have been a city-state, but they chose to hate. They voted for war. I don't know who the they is in your case. My opinion, it's Israel. I don't know, Benjamin Pugh, what you would do if you were born in a city, you call it a city-state. I don't know what you would do if you were born in a city-state the size of LAX airport and you had to share it with 2.5 million people. You couldn't go anywhere. Your water's cut off, your medicine's cut off, your food is cut off, your toilets are cut off. And in order to get to an international airport, you have to strip and go through checkpoints. And you're not even considered a citizen of the world, much less a citizen of Israel. I don't know what you would do. But it's hard. Hate is a hard thing, Benjamin. You're probably not old enough to remember the idiocy of Star Trek, but I used to watch it. And there was one show, I don't know if it was the one with the tribbles or whatever the heck, but I think it was a different one. But this man, this large disembodied man that you'd see in the screen, had power, huge power, when the crew of the Starship Enterprise hated each other. But when they loved each other, the power went away. But I don't know what you would do, Benjamin Pugh, if I don't know where you live, but I don't know. I mean, ignoring the uprooting of your family, olive trees that take thousands of years to grow, the forceful destruction of cities, all your friends, family, by Menachem Begin and others as they came in with tanks and British soldiery training. Leave that aside. What would you do in recent years? There was a picture of an elderly man. He's probably younger than I am. He came home from work and his entire family had been killed by a guided missile, which destroyed his home, concrete home, and it fell and it killed his daughter, his grandchildren, his wife, everybody. So what's that guy's option? To choose hate, choose love, choose forgiveness? So I don't disagree with you. Maybe what we're supposed to do is choose forgiveness and choose love rather than hate. But Benjamin Pugh, I don't know who you mean by they, but I would submit that we have a choice too. As the United States had a choice when we declared a war on terror. What the hell does that mean? We could have treated 25 people as an atrocious criminal act. Instead, we went on a campaign of trillions of dollars, bombing deserts, assaulting mountains. Leave men out of it. Leave little boys out of it. We maimed and killed women and young women and young little girls that had brown, they didn't have this color skin, in far off places. Our war on terror. Well, did we choose love or hate, Benjamin? Did we choose love or hate 20 years ago, 18 years ago? Let me ask you something else, Benjamin. Is Israel choosing now love or hate? You should know, Benjamin. I don't know which side you're on, but Israel itself, Israeli journalists, ever honest, ever hardworking, have made it clear that on October 7th, many who were killed by Israeli guns. I don't know, but in young soldiers, panicked, receiving fire, seeing people running towards them, they start shooting. I don't know. I'm not judging. But to my memory, 1,700, that's the casualty rate on that day. And 50 or 100 children. I don't remember the exact number. And atrocities that are hard to believe, but if we believe them, women's breasts cut off, gang raping of women, heads chopped off. I mean, I haven't seen any pictures, but you know, I assume if Netanyahu says it, it's true. He's always been truthful his entire life. But even Benjamin, if those absolutely despicable, disgusting, beyond human comprehension things happen, did Israel choose love or hate in its response? Depending on who you listen to, and these statistics are 2 or 3 weeks old, 26,000 Palestinians have been killed by bombs, tank assault. 26,000. Half of Gaza Strip are children. The best estimate is that 5,000 children were killed by Israel. Is that love or hate, Benjamin? Is that love or hate? Children. Children are responsible. Children are responsible. I can't buy that. Israel gave the northern part of Gaza Strip 24 hours or 48 hours to move. Where? South. Okay, south. Into one of the most intensely populated areas in the world, rivaling parts of Cairo and other crowded cities. Where are they going to move? And how quickly could they move before the onslaught starts? Israel turned off power, water, blocks medicine. The toilets don't work. Hundreds of buildings are destroyed. Did Israel choose love or hate? Did Israel choose forgiveness or vengeance? Is Israel operating with calmness or with emotion? Is Israel putting in place a plan that's existed for a long time by a few right-wingers? Their defense minister, if that's what he's called, said, we're going to wipe out Gaza. No one will be able to live there. You can look it up, Benjamin. I'm not going to look it up because I don't want to take the time to find it. But he said it. It's his quote. It's not my quote. So, Benjamin, I ask you, did Israel choose love or hate? Just like in the United States, I think we had a choice of treating what happened to us as a heinous crime. Instead, we chose to start a war on terror. What does that mean, war on terror? We're at war on a noun? I mean, if we have war on terror, wouldn't tanks and aircraft bombing civilian apartment buildings constitute terror? I don't know. I mean, you obviously have a stronger understanding of it than I do. But no, it's got to stop on a moral level. It's got to stop. But more importantly, Benjamin, if you live in the United States, if your assets are in the United States, if you depend on the United States dollar, what's going on, what Israel is doing cannot be excused. Cannot be excused. And they have to stand down. But on a war basis, on a financial basis, it is putting the United States of America, in my opinion, at almost existential risk. We'll still exist, but our lives will be totally different from here on out. So anyway, Benjamin, that's my point of view. Well, Anthony Bird, I do not understand why we're not friends with Russia. I think a lot of it comes just like the renewed side eye that races give each other in the United States. I personally attribute a lot of this to one presidential candidate who lost and went on a campaign against Russia and Putin. And it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. I think we could be economic partners with Russia. I think we could be friends with Russia. I don't think our interests clash at all. My dad would totally disagree with me. He'd get all upset. But Putin has brought religion back to Russia. And Russia has energy. They have hardworking, highly educated population. And Russians have more in common with Americans than you know. And why are we agitating for war with China? We gave China our technology, our money, status in the economic structures of the world, and we still give them aid in terms of that worldwide setup, benefits. Why are we at war with, almost going to war with China? I don't get that either. And then as an ultimate maybe stupidity, after we upset the apple cart in the Middle East, we're not even in Iraq anymore. The single, in my judgment, the single largest repository of conventional oil in the world. Saudi Arabia is huge, but they've been producing full on for 60, 70 years. They'll always have relatively a lot of oil. But Iraq, their oil was throttled back. And yes, Saddam attacked a lot of his wells and structures and probably destroyed many of them. But Russia, China, Germany, Japan, they're going to benefit from that. What the heck are we thinking? Are we just a snowball rolling downhill to hell? I don't know. But Anthony, I get upset and I feel like I have to make moral statements, but overall, I want it, you're young and you probably don't remember when interest rates were 20% and gold went from, it was a vague memory to me. John Updike wrote 3 books in a row, Rabbit is Rich, Run, Rabbit, Run, and another rabbit story. I read 1 or 2 of those, so I saw it. But gold went from like $40 to $850. That's what I think's ahead of us. So that's why I talk about that. All right, you're saved by the bell. Hello? I know you forgot. Let me, did you hang up? All right, let me see if I can get you on the speaker. All right, I got to reset the speaker. Just hang on. I had it ready for you, but I guess it doesn't stay connected.
Battery 100%.
All right.
Connected to Bill's iPhone.
All right, let's see. Oh, okay. Let me try one more time. Sorry, Ham. Connected. All right, I hear it now.
All right, you ready?
Yep, ready. Ham.
Start out that I just passed Ace's house. I just threw my garbage out on the road by his house.
Ace is the place for the helpful garbage, man.
I'm down by Fayetteville, North Carolina. I'm going to get a treatment on my knee, so I'm driving to Florida with my dogs and my daughter. So I'm on the move. I'm not MIA. I have my phones and I'm ready to go to work and waiting for calls from law enforcement. I just wanted to again, this is not to buy or sell. This is my opinion and what I pass along what I hear. I'm hearing from the big owners in Finger that they expect this dividend news shortly. I have no idea where the stock is. I don't know what the dividend is. But they said the company's working on it, and so I asked the questions, and that's what I got back. All right, that's all. That's what I know there. Other than that, I've gotten calls from people all weekend. The MMTLP and this guy Ham's posting all these slide presentations embarrassing the SEC. And William, I told you about the treasuries. Susan Trimbath posted on Twitter that the treasuries have been naked shorted, and they actually increased almost 100% and fails to deliver in the treasury market. Now, for those who don't know, the stock market is big, but the bond market and the treasuries make it look like the little.
Well,
league.
imagine with interest rates up, how much money they have to pay in interest on the bonds they sold, which are counterfeit. They have to pay to the new owner.
Can you imagine the back office trying to clean that mess up all day long, chasing people? Oh my goodness. I can't believe that the whole system is based on fraud. It's the whole thing.
The arrogance, the chutzpah.
And when it does get exposed, and it will, there's going to be a bloody collapse because there's so much counterfeits in the system. No one knows where the hell the money's going. It's remarkable. Again, it's got nothing to do with me. I don't have any sell tickets that I didn't sell anything I don't own. You can't go on your platform or use Merrill Lynch or whoever your broker is and sell a stock as an individual. You would never be able to do it. These hedge funds that are doing it are all over it, and they get this leeway. I don't know why. Maybe because they're paying off people, but it's just remarkable that they have no idea where it's going. Just think about a trade that starts out of Panama, goes to a broker in Spain. The broker in Spain passes to a broker in the UK, and they sell it into the US. Those are the type of that's the schematic on these offshore trades. They go all over the place. From the Caymans to this place to that place, that's what they do. So again, just think about the paper trail and what's going on here. And it all exists because the U.S. doesn't force settlement. If they force settlement, these trades couldn't happen. They could happen, but they'll be bought in. William, I have no idea. Where's Finger Trade?
I just want to tell you, as you came on, GTII is up 0.0151. Thank God for that extra.
I don't know what that number is, but okay.
It's at 41.5 cents on 259. Finger motion is up 5 cents at 407, 405 by 407, 400 by 700, 216,000 shares.
I pitched a money manager at the pickleball court, and he made a big score back in the day in Taser. It was a big short squeeze in Taser. And I told him I had a better one, and he's buying Finger, he said. So I took his phone, I wrote in his notepad everything about it that he needed to know. And I told him I was traveling, and so he'll be buying it. So I don't know if he's buying. I was curious because he runs a couple $100 million, he said, and I don't know what he buys. I have no clue.
I know you're dying for ZJYL, which is up $1 at 248.98. And then
I'm only watching it for entertainment. There's no way.
I know. But tell people what you heard, and then maybe talk about GDC, which is up 13 cents at 270.
I called Ace up over the weekend, and I told him the bad news that I heard. I'll start out with GDC. I hear GDC is going to 50. So I know he had sold his small position in GDC, and he bought Wolf. And Wolf went straight down, and I don't know if I don't even know is GDC up. I have no idea where it is.
It's up 13 cents, 270, 59,690 shares, 270 by 280, 1,300 by 1,400.
All right, so I'm hearing GDC is going to 50, and ZJYL is that the symbol? Okay, ZJYL.
Yeah, I think you got it. ZJYL.
Believe it or not, I'm hearing it's going to 30,000.
Say that again. You faded out.
I didn't fade out. I got a sock in my mouth after repeating that number. They said they're taking it to 30,000. I hear it's going to 30,000.
That's some moolah being made.
I guess so. So again, listen, Wall Street's about keeping your ears to the ground and hearing different things. So I'm only repeating what I hear. That's a trading desk mentality. I told you, I never traded technology stocks, but my friends on the desk did technology. And every once in a while, they would say, "Hey, Honeywell, the earnings are going to come out. We're hearing they're going to be above." Goldman saying it's above the mark. I didn't know because I wasn't in those names. So, and that's how a trading desk works. So, for those who never worked on a trading desk, that's where it is. And just to let you know, I just passed Rocky Mount, North Carolina. That's where I am.
Rocky Top?
No, it's Tennessee.
Oh.
So if Ace is listening, he knows I'm close.
Well, you have to stop, I think, somewhere around there. Maybe it's just at the Georgia border. You can buy barbecued ham.
Well, I already drove 6 hours already, so I'm moving along. And I stopped at the Cracker Barrel, if anybody knows what that is. I don't think the people on the West Coast know what that is, but the East
Or
Coast.
even up north. Cracker Barrel is great.
So I'm on the move, and this is what I'm doing. And my family's joining me on Thursday with my son and my wife and my mother-in-law, the banker in this transaction. We got to bring the banker around. She's got the checkbook. But yes, I'm driving down with the dogs, and I'm getting treatment on January 8th, so I had to stop moving. So I have 8 days of treatment, and that's what I'm doing.
That's Elvis Presley's birthday.
January 8th?
Yeah.
Well, it's either that or I'm going to have to get knee surgery in March. So I'm going to take the stem cells again to see if I can get a direct shot and go through the program. I know 5 people, including a professional football player, did it with this gentleman. So, and everyone said their knees have come back and they are, I guess 90%. So I'll take a shot. So
they should put some in your scalp.
And I just want to tell you, I played pickleball yesterday. I play every day anyway. And I played against a father and his son, maybe 12 or 13 or 14 years old. And the father was excellent. And he's playing with his son out there, I guess, trying to teach him. And this kid was pretty good. And the father hit a ball to me. I whipped this thing with my backhand off this poor kid's chest. He looked like he saw a ghost. I told the poor kid, "I'm sorry, that was for your dad. That wasn't meant for you." I hit this poor kid. I sent him flying. But anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. Anyway, so I'm driving GDC. I told you I'm hearing it's going to 50.
When?
Listen,
when do you think?
Well, I'm not Kreskin, so I don't know. So I can't predict the future. But yeah, my family is long and wrong right now, but we're staying tall. We're going to say it though. And finger motion, I gave you what I heard on that the special dividend is close to being done, and that comes from big holders in the company. So I don't know where the company stands on it, but that's what I'm hearing there. Whether it's true or not, we'll wait to see. But people who have a lot of money seem to control a lot of things. So let's see what they got done. So I don't know what it is.
And people are asking, what do you think of GTII right now?
GTII is just I told you, I don't have any more money to sit here and, and do anything. I'm frozen like everybody else. That's all we can do. GTI still has 450 million shares short. The company hired a consultant. By the way, people have reached out to me to speak with the consultant. I just haven't had time with the holiday. I don't know what he wants me for, but when I get to him, I get to him. And I don't know what their plan is or why he wants to speak with me. But when he does, I'll let you know. Okay. And I do think that, listen, at any given time with this MMTLP stuff.
Yeah.
And, I told you the law enforcement said they would get back to me right after the new year. So we're here. It's January 2nd. So I expect that call at any time also. And, with this MMTLP, which I've been sending them all the information, they're not stupid. They can see what's going on here, that the SEC is not doing anything to protect anybody. And I made a point to let the FBI and the Secret Service know, hey, they're robbing everybody. And when the shit hits the fan, they're going to lose also. And why would you put your life on the line for anybody if they're looking the other way, letting you get robbed? It's remarkable.
I heard a colonel, forget which one, there's several that are speaking on everything talk about how the United States is having a hard time recruiting new recruits for the army.
Well, I
It's
can tell
something
you
you
this much.
predicted a couple years ago when you were in Alabama.
That's my wife's family's from Alabama, and her uncle was a 4-star, a full bird, I guess they call it, a 4-star general, I guess he was.
Yeah.
And all the people that he's in communication with, he ran the Desert Storm. I mean, these guys are military people, and they said that the South is advising their kids not to join the army anymore. And he was, he did it for his whole career. So I mean, that's the word down south. They're all walking away, and no one's joining. And I said that a while ago. I said the
You
same
did.
thing.
You also pointed out that cops would stop working.
Oh, you got to be insane to do that. But that's a different story. It's not crazy. My friends are police officers in Manhattan, and what they do is when they see a gang of kids starting trouble, they put their lights on and just drive away. And when it's said and done, after they kill each other, whatever they do, then they circle back and they pick up the bodies. That's what they do. They don't want nothing to do with it. Because if they take out their gun, they're in trouble. So, that's another thing. That's another story.
Well, let's try to make some money so we can be
And that's coming
safe.
straight from the police. That's the police in the Manhattan. These are 15-year vets. They're sitting there, oh, look the other way. Screw this.
Let's just try to make some money so we can be safe.
Well, listen, I
So
got
one gentleman here bought 1 share of ZJYL.
Well, that's the only way to do it. I mean, that you can do it for entertainment purposes, but you know what it is. The only way to trade that, I think he reached out to me on Twitter. I told him, buy the dips, sell the rips. If you can make you can make $50 back and forth. You do it 3-4 times. What'd you say the price of the stock is? $250, I think you said.
Yeah, let me look. $248.98.
So if you did it 5 times, trading it for $50, you own it for free.
That's a good point.
And that's the way to play those things. If you can trade it for free, that's the best way to do it. But so anyway, I'm by Richmond, Virginia right now. This is for Ace. I'm pitching where the Richmond Spiders play baseball, I think it is, right here. It's right next to 95.
Well, Ace is the place for barbecued ham.
Anyway, what else? Do you have any other questions while I'm moving
Well,
along
I'm
here?
looking. There aren't any standing out, but let me go to the bottom. Wow. I'm not going to bring your attention to that.
Yes, anybody wants to come on and bash us for trying to expose fraud, it is a fraud. That's all I can tell you.
Well, Donna M., who's been a long time listener, she's lost over 75% on GTII. Ken J., I don't recognize his name, but he says he's lost all.
I have friends that are down $20 million in GTII. I'm with you. I understand. I can't stop the fraud. We're here for that. We need, besides the company doing whatever they have to do, enforcement needs to step in. All right. If you see the crime, and I apologize that you're down a penny. Trust me. The only reason I wasted, 24 years of my life is because I can't stand people like yourself losing a penny. That's why I'm doing it. And you probably would have found these messes somewhere else, anywhere else, but no one would ever be fighting for you like you have here. So again, it doesn't make it better for you, but we're trying everything in our power to make sure you get back your 75% plus whatever can happen for you. That's what this is about. You can see the manipulation. I can't stop it. I have family things I have to do myself. It's not easy. I don't like to leave my post. I get up every morning, go look at Christmas Day. I was out there tweeting New Year's Day, New Year's Eve. I'm always working. All right, so I'm only doing it for people like yourself and people that I know, my friends also. Everybody's hurting. We got it. Look at the MMTLP people. I just spoke to someone about that. I mean, just look at if you go on Twitter all weekend, these people are, they lost every penny. The stock closed at 290 on the last day of trading. They didn't even give the people the 290.
Is your
They kept the whole
father-in-law
thing.
a colonel?
He was a full bird, whatever the hell that is.
Well, Charlie Mack is saying a full bird is a colonel.
All right, then he's a colonel. I don't know.
It's pretty good.
Well, salute him when I see him. So I give him the middle finger when he turns around. I told him he's lucky I wasn't in his command. He never would have found me.
Do you think GDC runs before Finger?
I have no idea. I just told you what I heard. We bought it. It was 390. It went down to 2.25. If that they go, then that's when we were speaking pre-market that day, William, and It drifted back down again. I just told you my friend owns 1 million shares of it. He's been adding every day. He's up to 1 million shares. He was nice enough to tell me that it's going to 50. I said, thank you very much. And if you worked on Wall Street before, you just don't go up to him and say, hey, can you tell me the day? Can you tell me the time? Can you give me how? I just say, thank you. That's the way you do it.
Well, this
Thank you for giving me
gentleman, this gentleman's following your advice. He's still holding his MMTLP and he's not giving up.
I don't think you have a choice about that one. But I think you're going to get rewarded on it big time.
So this person's down 70% in GTII. Yeah, it's I don't know if you agree with me, but I think they're tied together, Finger and GTII. So we need
I don't understand. The other day they were both trading almost, except the dollar amount. One was 39, the other one was 3.99. I mean, it's. I don't understand how they're tied together. I don't get it, but seems like it is. I agree with that.
This guy bought 1 share of ZJYL. He put the bid in for 270 and he got it for 246.
That's how crazy those stocks are. Hey, turn around and offer it. If you're gonna trade it, you bought 100 at 246, sell 100 at 399 or 400. Put it out there, GTC. Maybe it runs, it touches 400, then drops back down to 265 with Chase. You could buy it back, or just close your eyes and don't look at
it. What's this stock? BRKA is up 3,919. Is that?
I don't know that.
Oh, that's Berkshire Hathaway. It must be. Yeah,
BRK.
Yeah, Berkshire.
Yeah.
That's his
American. Those are the stocks that are winning. If you own Berkshire Hathaway, Amazon, the same Costco, UNH, or Caterpillar, or Goldman. Just look what Goldman. Goldman was breaking 200. They turned it around with everything falling apart. It went back up to 340. I think it's 330, 340. I'm not sure of the price.
Which one?
Goldman Sachs, GS.
Okay. The Darth Vader of banks. Yeah, it's 387.
387. It was breaking 200.
That's the yearly high. The Dow, well, the S&P 500. I read something by Tyler Duran, whatever his last name is. The markets around the world went up $20 trillion last year, and it all happened in the last 2 months of the year.
Well, that doesn't sound like a pyramid scheme. I don't know what is. That's every business that's a big business is being manipulated by the government. So that's how they're keeping people at bay. Because I don't know any people doing well. I just don't see it.
Well, Ed Yardini is calling for all positive this year. I don't know.
Well, they're going to do is the government's going to lower the rates, right?
Yeah.
Make everything perfect for the election. And then as soon as they give the bag of shit to Trump, that's when the shit's going to hit the fan to the downside. So that's what I see
They're
happening.
not going to let him win. Anyway, we'll
Whatever it
find
is, if he wins, he's going to be left with the worst situation of all time. And he's going to have like probably no choice but to raise rates, do this, do that. And, see what happens. But, playing the market, you can't have the same stocks go up every day. It's ridiculous every day. Just like we see our stocks go down every day, all the other stocks just go up every day.
I'm looking for a reason to believe. I'm looking for questions. I don't see any that are. You might just have to talk about what you see on the highway.
I just passed the Philip Morris plant.
And it smells like cigarettes?
I guess. I don't know.
Right, you're going through Richmond? No, you're in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
I don't think I'm there yet. The car will usually, if somebody will yell, you just crossed the border or something like that.
Man, I used to go visit a few times Winston-Salem. Everybody smoked. Everybody. Wherever you went. I don't really see any questions, so you can talk about anything you want to.
Well, I've lost touch with the prices on stocks, so I memorized them, and that's why I can discuss for a long time. I'm blank because I'm actually driving. But
GDC is 272.
I don't listen. I'm not looking at it. Tell me when it's 23.5. I want to get out before it hits 50.
GTII is trading on the bid, so I'm not going to quote that one. Finger is up 7 cents, 409.
When the gentleman who is the new consultant reached out to a couple of different people, he actually reached out to Ace also to try to get in touch with me. I just been busy during the holidays, so I didn't get a chance to go back to him. I told you what I heard on finger motion from big holders that the dividend is on its way. What it is, I don't know. Obviously corporate attorneys have to do whatever they do. I don't know how. I always believed in just giving some sort of warrant or something that doesn't hurt the company, and it just forces the issue of delivery. That's my take on special dividends. And if you look at Dole Foods, I posted the story up there. Dole Foods was a special dividend. Guess what else was a special dividend? MMTLP. What kind of mess did that create, huh? GTII gave out a special dividend. People are still telling me they can't get their dividends. The brokerage firms have lied and done everything in their power to get you not to take your dividend, stop asking for your dividend, you name it. That's what a special dividend does. The short sellers must deliver the dividend. And if it's a naked short, the brokerage firm needs to go track them down and find out who owes the dividend. But the brokerage firms don't work for you. Your own broker doesn't work for you. He just could care less. And that's where, I saw John Tobacco type something the other day about this trade station where they admitted that they've sold everyone owns counterfeit shares and there's no stock for you. I mean, that's how this thing will break. One at a time, they'll start to fold.
I think a special dividend is love.
Special dividend is love. I just can't believe the people in the back offices are risking, or the company officials, whoever they may be, risking going out of business.
412. 412. Go ahead.
For what?
For Finger. 412.
I told you I got a money manager buying it. I pitched him at the pickleball court. And the gentleman was a machine gunner in Vietnam.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's how the conversation started. And he asked me if I was in the military. I said, no. He said he was in Vietnam. And then we just started talking about his experience. But, listen, he knew nothing. He plays short squeezes. He knew nothing about, never heard of finger motion, and he knows about naked shorts. We talked about GameStop. And the more questions he asked me, the more I closed him on, because then he knew I was too fast for him. I was going, when you could talk to someone and they ask you a question and you answer right off the top, right in a second, they know you're not lying. I'm not thinking about it. I tell him exactly what it was 1 second after he asked me the question. So, and I guess that's why. And he said, just do me a favor, type it in his phone. I typed it in his phone, and he said he was going to buy it.
Well, now the last trade is 411.99.
That's it.
410 by 412.
That's when you get those prices. How do you get change from 410.99 or 411.99?
That's just.
I don't even know why they would make those numbers up. If you can't get change from it, you shouldn't exist.
Yeah, it's just they're just providing liquidity.
That's all they do is provide liquidity. That's all they want to do. Hey, William, just a question. What is MULN trading at today? I was curious.
Oh,
Did it break above 17? Did it drift back towards 10? I have no idea.
Whale, it's down $1.84 at 12.45. It was as high as 14.1999 and as low as 12.07.
The other day it was 17. Maybe if it goes through 17, it can break out of the old reverse and get destroyed strategy. But right now it's in that same strategy where they just keep selling. You reversed it. The shorts got their positions closed out, all profitable, and now they just reestablish them again at a higher level.
Do you know what the high is on the year for that stock?
I think you told me the other day, 10,000.
Yeah, you're right. 10,743.75.
So, so if you think that, I hate to say, you think you're down, those people have been wiped off the planet. They were zeroed. They all got nothing.
The weird thing is,
and that happened to my friend in Rouge. He lost $5 million.
Oh God, that's sickening. And you never get it back. The weird thing is you can buy at almost any price and be down 95% with these criminals.
That's the sick part. And you know what? That is the truth. You can buy at almost any price. And that's what I try to tell people. Unless someone's fighting for you, the company's fighting for you, please stay away, because look how hard it is to beat it.
Well, it's these financings are like a bad mortgage on a good piece of real estate. It comes down to the mortgage is going to destroy you, and the financings destroy the companies.
Financing destroys everything. I think there's an old story, if anybody wants to Google it, where J.P. Morgan, I think, abused a small town in Alabama. They helped build or finance a facility, and it bankrupted the town. That the financing was so bad, they bankrupted the town. I mean, so they just murder people. It couldn't kill us. So the taxpayers who live in that town in Alabama probably can't get their roads fixed or this because they're paying off this debt to J.P. Morgan.
This guy, US 1 Tahoe, is pretty good technically, and he says finger is touching the previous day high of 413. It's not there yet.
It was 417.
All right, 417.
It hit 417 before they pushed it down the other day. Yes.
Oh, do you have any ideas, as you guys say? Let me just get a price for you before you answer. Up 6 cents, 246.13. Bid 246. Ask 247. 3,000 by 6,800. Volume 26.93 million. Wolf. Terrible.
Is it?
Terrible.
243?
246 right now. 26.93 million shares traded. And it's
obviously it's being manipulated back and forth. Remember, when I saw the company present There was about 100 people there, and I listened to their presentation. These guys built the systems for MARA and Riot. Okay, and these guys build nuclear power plants. That's what they do. And that Bitcoin mining is about one thing: is the power. If you spend too much, because you need a lot of energy. If you don't have the right energy prices, you can't make money. And I think I can't remember, but I think he said that Wolf makes money at Bitcoin 2,000. So if Bitcoin is 40,000, they're in the black by $38,000 each time they mine a Bitcoin. Wolf and Mara, I think, is 16 or 17,000, much higher because of the cost of their power source. The only difference, I think, Wolf has less miners than Mara and Riot. I'm trying to think, going back to that meeting. But the guys are serious guys.
Well, I'll tell you, I've looked in just because people have come to me, and it's a big area for oil and gas, particularly extra natural gas, is to build miners with the natural gas for the computers. But the just a brilliant plan is using excess power that comes out of a nuclear power plant. It's virtually inexhaustible and free.
Well, I think I heard one of the miners was trying to buy power
Right.
from the electric utilities or whatever it may be, trying to buy it off peak. That's what they try to do, to buy it more at night. They do more of the mining at night or something like that. I'm not totally, maybe I screwed that up, but they were trying to lower their costs. They were buying more power at night. So when we're all sleeping, these guys are trying to mine more. But if anyone gets a chance, go follow Wolf, make your own decisions. Just listen to what they say. If you did think Bitcoin, I think one day the shorts in that stock are going to get killed and it's going to start ripping like crazy. It's a cheap play. It's not as dangerous as these other ones. When you get Riot and Mara, they hit 30, they drop 10 points in a second. The volatility is so great. At a $2.50, $2 stock, if you see a big dip in it, take a shot because of Bitcoin. That's how I look at it.
Do you have any comment on law enforcement as it relates to whatever you want to talk about?
They said that they were going to call me after the new year. So today is after the new year. And I'm actually looking at my phone, waiting for someone to call. And it's pretty impressive when you see the telephone numbers where they call from. So, it doesn't say, it doesn't say John Doe. Depending on where they call from in their office, you get the. So the gentleman I showed the other day, and he said, "You're actually talking, these people call you up?" I said, "Yeah." And I showed him the numbers. No one ever thought about that. Thinking short selling is counterfeiting. Thank you to William, Ace, and Richard, and Abbott, and everybody else. I started using the term counterfeiting, and believe it or not, that's what it is, counterfeiting.
Sorry, I just stepped away briefly.
Well, I'm following your lead because I'm blank looking at a road driving 70. So,
well, fingers 411.
411. Got it. No big deal. GDC,
Oh, wow.
2.
Apparently there's going to be a snowstorm on Saturday, so get home sooner, or later.
Later, not sooner.
GDC is up 18 at 275.
That's fantastic. I'm down less. I'm only down to $1.20 now, whatever it is.
ZJYL's up 93 at 248.
Well, there's nothing going on, and if I'm going to hang up and
All right.
my drop. But if you need me, I'm here. If any questions that you think are important, I'll be glad to answer it.
Well, let me just see if there's an important question. How many shares shorted in Finger?
205 million. And then I have to get the real short number, but I have to actually call somebody and get that number. They get it off of Bloomberg terminal. They get the number in real time. So let's say it's 1.9 million or 1.8. I forgot the number. So you're talking 405 plus another two, 407. I'll just leave it at 405. We could just say 200 million. It just doesn't make a difference at this point. We can actually say, for anybody who doubts and thinks that we're crazy, say, you know what? 205 million, these guys are blowing smoke up our ass, right?
Yeah.
Why don't we just say it's 50 million, 20 million? How many shares traded today? It's 20 million shares to show. Where is it now? What's the volume, William? Finger motion.
The volume, I'm looking at a different stock. I'm looking at GTII. Finger is 227,470
So
shares.
if we say the short's 20 million, there's no way they covered it yet, right? So forget 205 million, which I believe is the real number. If it's 20 million, look at the bloodbath that's going to take. That's just 20 million. And that's why I say it's a life-changing event. And the life-changing event is for one reason, because the SEC has allowed these guys to counterfeit and create an event that could change your life. That's why I reported on it. GTII, it's 450 million shares. And I usually don't pray for anything but health, but I want Finger Motion to explode. This way we can step in and really suck up the GTI shares. But I don't think the opportunity will be there. I think once GTI goes, once Finger Motion goes, GTII will be just like it is now. If GTII goes to 20, this will be $3 to $5 range. It'll trade like that. And then once we get out of Finger and we go into GTII, then that's when that takes off.
Will be a rolling thunder.
And that's all we need to do. And again, I apologize. I know they're down. I got it. We had to deal with the Christmas break, the tax selling break, the manipulation. But I look at Twitter and all I see is super positive stuff. And it feels like it's going to break any day. For the people in MMTLP, just keep getting signatures and you'll win. I don't own that stock. William, you do. I have friends that do. And it's just amazing how they kept everybody's money. Even the 290, where the closing price, they kept that money.
Yeah.
I see a sign, Rocky Mount, North Carolina, with Miami underneath it. Of course, Miami is way, 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 way away.
Rocky Top, Tennessee.
So anyway, if you need me, William, I'm in the car. Feel free to call. Just drive in. I'll pick it up at any time, and hopefully everything keeps moving hard.
All right. Well, thank you for calling in. Everybody was glad to hear from you.
All right. Thank you. I'll speak to you later.
All right. Bye, Em.
Call ended.
All right. I'll go a little bit longer, but I'm going to give this guy. I've tried to give your side view. I'm not going to read it out. But I'm trying to give, there's a book, I have it over there, but I like it much better when Christopher Hitchens says it. I'm not interested in meeting in the middle, he says. But there's a book, I bought it, but I haven't read it. I actually have, until I get this eye fixed, I don't have the best reading ability anymore. But anyway, it's called Never Split the Difference. But I'm trying to split the difference with you. All right, so I don't know what else to talk about. I got interrupted on what I was talking about, which I think's good. Let me just see how long this one. I think I'll do a separate video on that. I'll just save that for a separate video. So I'll go for 12 more minutes, and then unless we get going on a topic, I'll hang up in 12 minutes. Yeah, somebody mentioned CAUD. Let's look at it. That's not something Ham would be interested in. CAUD is up 13 cents at 148. That's 138,000 shares. I expect an announcement this week or next. I have no idea what it's going to be. I also do believe that there's a full court press going on from the extremely talented board. So I think this is a stock to keep our eyes on for a January bounce. And then Logic, I didn't quote. Let me see where it's trading. Well, it's a little bit in the red. Well, on a percentage basis, it's down 10%. It's down 0.0069. 6 cents bid by 0.0699 ask. Who's buying 30,171 shares? That's communication. They're manipulating the price of that. But I expect progress on that. And I bet that's over 10 cents in the next couple of weeks or so. Not a promise. Thank you, Mark. All right. Let's just see if there's any. I'll show you guys something if it's here. Let me see if I can. I'll show that I can go to the dark side as well. I know you guys are all, many of you are. Let me see, I got to find it. Takes a while too. My computer is so slow. It's off topic, but it's interesting. Here it is. Just got to find the picture. That's not it. Maybe I don't have it. I might not have it. I guess I don't. I put it up, but I guess I don't have it. Is that it? Nope. Here it is. I think this is it. Just to show you that I don't focus just on Novak Djokovic. Rafael Nadal is back after his operation, and he moved up 131 places to 541 in the world by winning in the first round against Dominic Thiem. He gained 25 points. He moved up 131 positions, and he's now 541 in the world. So that's for those of you who get tired of me talking about Novak Djokovic. How short is GTII? I don't know what you mean. If you listen to him, he thinks the number's 450 million shares. If you listen to people who used to work at on the American Stock Exchange, there's no way in hell that it's that high. I tend to believe him because he's been following it for a long time. But anyway, so I didn't get a chance to ask him, but I know from what he's told me, 450 million. I didn't say anything on TradeStation, but I did talk. I think I can say that. I did talk to Anna over the weekend, and she told me that's huge news on TradeStation. Basically, TradeStation, like you say, Dos Equis, is saying we give up. We're acknowledging we don't have the shares. This MMTLP, and these are my own words now, is just a massive risk to Wall Street. It could show that counterfeiting actually goes on. Remember, everyone from Jim Cramer to Joe Angel to Boo Birds to shills to Congress to journalists say, hey, it doesn't happen. It's not a thing. That Forbes article that, it's not a thing. Well, TradeStation is telling you it is a thing, to use the current vernacular. And that's just huge. I look, drip by drip. I love that poem, but I'm not a poet, and I'm not a literature major. But I love the speech that that RFK gave in Indianapolis. But anyway, the poem, he said, my favorite poem was, I can't even pronounce the guy's name, Aeschylus. He once wrote, quote, and even in our sleep, pain which cannot forget falls drop by drop upon the heart, until in our own despair, against our will, comes wisdom through the awful grace of God. Well, I think drop by drop, these things are going to break through. And this is huge, that TradeStation is essentially admitting that in your accounts at TradeStation are counterfeit shares of NextBridge, which are represented by MMTLP. I think to an honest journalist, to a curious congresswoman, to a non-bought senator, this would be enormous, but it'll eventually follow through. How do you say it? Aeschylus. Aeschylus. I asked my dad how to say it. It's impossible. Aeschylus. 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 Okay. You Aeschylus. I'll ask your mama. You're being told it isn't, or it is. Aeschylus. That's how you say it. Aeschylus. Aeschylus. That's how my dad said it. Aeschylus. That's right. Aeschylus. All right. You Aeschylus. I'll Aeschylus. Let me see. What's this? Don't go to the dark side. Stay in the light. Okay. I'll do my best. I'm going to do my best. Do my best to stay in the light. Oh, I wrote that down, but I threw it away, so I'll write it down again. I didn't know what it meant. All right, I'm not going to throw it away this time. I had no idea what it meant when I wrote it down. All right, 2 more minutes, and then I'm gonna go. I'm gonna maybe go get lunch and run a couple of errands. And who said it didn't last long, that I didn't come back on? You're right. I explained at the beginning, I explained twice that I said I wasn't going to do lives again because except when Ham came on. But then it's not practical because Ham said, I'll call you. And I came on. It took 45 minutes. So I reneged on my ultimatum. But I will say that the first few times with people, I'll put in timeouts, but I may block somebody permanently that's unfair, but I'm going to try to you know, there's just a certain kind of thing I don't want to deal with. Beautiful disaster. All right, I'll listen. Aeschylus. I got to keep saying it to myself. That is just an amazing I'll finish with his speech. I love his speech. You know, he went to, when Martin Luther King was assassinated, the whole country, all the cities blew up in riots and destruction and pain. And Bobby Kennedy was in Indianapolis, and he told his handlers that he had to go down and speak to his supporters. And they all said, no, you can't go. It's not safe. And Kennedy went. And he held his speech in his hand like this. He didn't even go by his speech. And he stood up on a big flatbed truck in front of a huge audience downtown Indianapolis. And that's before people really owned across the whole spectrum of America. Not everyone even had a television set. And if there weren't phones, there weren't internet, there wasn't text messaging. So he got up in front of an inner city audience and he said, I have bad news for you, for all of our fellow citizens and people who love peace all over the world. And that is that Martin Luther King was shot and killed tonight. And you could hear the gasps and the shock go through the audience. And then he said, Martin Luther King dedicated his life to love and to justice for his fellow human beings. And he died because of that effort. In this difficult day, it is in this difficult time for the United States, it is perhaps well to ask what kind of a nation we are and what direction we want to move in. For those of you who are Black, considering the evidence there evidently is that there were white people who were responsible, you can be filled with bitterness, with hatred, and a desire for revenge. We can move in that direction as a country in great polarization, Black people amongst Black, white people amongst white, filled with hatred toward one another. Or we can make an effort, as Martin Luther King did, to understand and to comprehend and to replace that violence that stain of bloodshed that has spread across our land, with an effort to understand with compassion and love. For those of you who are Black and are tempted to be filled with hatred and distrust at the injustice of such an act against all white people, I can only say that I feel in my own heart the same kind of feeling. I had a member of my family killed, but he was killed by a white man. But we have to make an effort in the United States. We have to make an effort to understand, to go beyond these rather difficult times. My favorite poet was Aeschylus. He wrote, quote, "In our sleep, pain which cannot forget falls drop by drop upon the heart, until in our own despair, against our will, comes wisdom through the awful grace of God." What we need in these United States is not division. What we need in the United States is not hatred. What we need in the United States is not violence or lawlessness, but love and wisdom and compassion toward one another, and a feeling of justice toward those who still suffer within our country, whether they be white or they be Black. So I shall ask you tonight to return home, to say a prayer for the family of Martin Luther King. That's true. But more importantly, to say a prayer for our own country, which all of us love, a prayer for understanding and that compassion of which I spoke. We can do well in this country. We will have difficult times. We've had difficult times in the past. We will have difficult times in the future. It is not the end of violence. It is not the end of lawlessness. It is not the end of disorder. But the vast majority of white people and the vast majority of Black people in this country want to live together, want to improve the quality of our life, and want justice for all human beings who abide in our land. Let us dedicate ourselves to what the Greeks wrote so many years ago, to tame the savageness of man and make gentle the life of this world. Let us dedicate ourselves to that and say a prayer for our country and for our people. Robert F. Kennedy, Indianapolis, 1968. The only city where there were no riots. The only major city that there were no riots after Martin Luther King was killed. All right, so let's see what MK, our pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses our understanding. Khalil Gibran, the shell is pure ego, the false self, as opposed to the real self. Yeah, I've been hearing for a year now a lot about ego. Not necessarily directed at me, but I process it. Ego seems to be the issue, ergo. Yeah, MMTLP is the thing that could break it for Wall Street. But the walls come tumbling down is so big because they do this criminal activity in the United States Treasury market. They do it in the oil markets, the natural gas markets, all commodity markets, including precious metals. And they do it in the over-the-counter markets, the NASDAQ markets, NYSE. But the NYSE, there's a counterweight of big institutions in there doing their own homework. But yeah, it'll come down. They do it in currency markets too. And I think they do it in our news, and somebody accused me of falling for the propaganda. I respectfully submit that that could be said of the other side too. All right. You could hear him. Go on YouTube and you can hear him give that speech. It's one of the most incredible things. It's like that man lived his whole life for that speech. He had compassion for the poor and the cast out. And he wasn't perfect either. Well, the ego cuts us off from the creator. I'm not going to get it perfect, but I think Islam means surrender before God, I think. But I think that's also a message that's in the Christian faith. And I'm sure it's in the Jewish faith. I'm not conversant in the Bible, the Old Testament, but it's not only the cutting off from God, but it's also, to me, it's not. I'm not a preacher, but it's not accepting forgiveness. It's not accepting love, and it's the pride. But it's also just having trust in the good Lord above. All good things come from above. I don't know about hedge funds, but the argument is that real money, I don't know, there's a lot of ideas about who did that. From a couple, 2 or 3 presidents, to 2 or 3 countries, to 2 or 3 criminal organizations, and to the banksters. That's very good. That's very good. That's very good. That reminds me of the song Chelsea. Let me look it up. Randy Travis. He Walked on Water. I love that song. Well, can you hear what your dog hears? Can you see what an eagle sees? We just have our 5 senses as they're provided to us. But I think it would be wrong to suggest that because we don't see it or we can't hear it, that it doesn't exist. I don't know. Let me go look at GDC. Up 26, 283, 287. That's not the move we're looking for, Julie. When it breaks through 6 or 7, it could get fun. That stock's been as high as 44 on the year. If it breaks through 44, who the heck knows how high it could go? Let me see if this chart gives me 5-year. Oh my gosh. The 5-year high is well over 200. Don't stay too long in it, but on the other hand, if you're in it, have some fun. Have some fun with it. Yeah, Ben, I'm not sure your full meaning with that, but my stepmother used to make fun of me in a way that only Irish women can. But I think, I don't think she meant harm. But when I was young, I'd get upset for whatever happened with my brother and sister at the dinner table. And she'd always say, sensitivity, such sensitivity. And yeah, I think maybe some of it's just my makeup. It's just me. So yeah, I do feel, anyway, it is a pain, but it's just me. I that doesn't mean that the people, it doesn't mean I don't know what that means. It's just I have to recognize that people don't always mean to hurt, and a lot of people don't get hurt. It just might be something about me. Yeah, I that's like, if I do watch Norm Macdonald, he's being interviewed by these, I don't know, it wasn't The Voice, but it was a similar, Fox Noise or something. And the woman says, wow, you really go off on riffs. This is really, what did she say? This is really something thinking. I can't remember the word exactly. I'll remember it after I hang up. But you go off on tangents. And he said, yeah, it's called conversation. Well, I don't know about that, David. You may be right. It's certainly over time been primarily men who control religion. I think it's possible a lot of that is about trying to control women and women's sexuality. And maybe it's just how it evolved, because not all religions and not all situations in the past were controlled by men. I can't think of anything except some vague history where women ruled, the Amazon women. But I don't know your religion, David, but and I'm not judging religions, but it does seem to me, if the world is a battle between good and evil, and if every point in time and place is a battle between good and evil, if one were to put themselves out as a paradigm of good and a representation of God on this earth, and speak for a religion, where would the evil come attack? I think it would come attack there. So, but Christopher Hitchens certainly agrees with you on that. Oh yeah, Ben. It happens, and I should have thicker skin. I mean, in fairness, I am what's the word, hyperbolic sometimes in my comments about Gary Gensler or Adriana Friedman or others, just because I want to get a point across. So, you know, what comes round goes round in a way. Could be. I don't know enough about either, but I do think I don't deny what you're saying. Well, someone knows Steve Martin. Somebody knows Steve Martin. He said, what if you die and all of a sudden you end up before St. Peter and you're standing in line? You'd have to go, oh shit, it was all true. All right. All right, I don't see any. Thank you, Eunice. I just want to see. Poor doggy. Poor doggy. All right, so I'm just going to end it wishing everybody Happy New Year. And as ever, peace, wishing you peace, love, and happiness. And we'll get through this, I hope, and have a victory we can all be friends around. So cheers. And we'll talk to you tomorrow.